Oh, precious. Okay, and then I want to allow on Facebook.
Is the light okay from that side?
Yes, it's perfect. Looks lovely. Yeah, looks absolutely lovely. Okay, so I'm just busy going onto Facebook Live, so I'm just doing the necessary there quickly. I'm going to put this off. Okay, let me go off. Close all windows there. And you know to look in the camera, huh?
Yes.
Okay, let me quickly write my type to write. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going live. It's almost ready. Okay, we are live on Facebook. Right. Right. Good morning, almost good afternoon to everybody out there in Facebook land. I'm Charlotte du Plessis. I'm the CEO and founder of Women of Stature. And as we've been doing over the past few weeks at 12 o'clock, we interview one of the remarkable women who has contributed their story in a chapter in The Forgotten Woman, the South African Story. This book is now in the hands of many people. This book, I believe, is going to be transcending everything that we can possibly imagine. The stories of these women, some painful, yet powerful. Why? Why did we do this? Quite simply, it was birthed out of COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdown. How many women, in fact, how many families have been affected by this incredible crisis that has hit the whole of the world? Excuse me. Little did we know, little did we anticipate when 2020 became the year that we thought was going to be the year that we celebrate, there's transformation taking place, and yet, unbeknown to all of us, we all landed in forced lockdown. This has caused many people with great discomfort. And I'm one of those. I was not in a place of comfort. But yet, it's in this time that I've grown the most. And isn't that unusual if you think of it, that in a crisis time, you will actually be growing and developing? Because now I was forced out of my comfort zone. I was literally taken out of what I thought was such a comfortable space. I knew where I was going. I knew what I was doing. I knew I had my plans all laid out in front of me. And suddenly, somebody far greater than me actually could control me, could control my life. And this control is where the discomfort lies. Because if you're like me, I like to be in control of my life. I like to make the decision as to when I do what and who I am with. And suddenly we're being told you cannot be, even with your own family. You are being locked into a space of complete isolation. Well, no, not realizing that I had this ability and this agility. And my goodness, did I surprise myself. And I can just say, if I can do it, anyone can. And the book comprises of 15 incredible life stories of 15 remarkable women. And today I have the greatest of pleasure to have with me one of the most remarkable women. And I had the absolute pleasure of meeting her a few years back already. I remember stepping into her office in the Nedbank buildings in Sandton, quite afraid and unsure of myself, and not exactly confident of what I was about to deliver to her. And in her quietness, she observed, she considered, and she didn't make a decision right there and then. And she said, give me some time and I'll get back to you. And she did. And the rest is history. So Nirmala, Dr. Nirmala Reddy, it is my greatest pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you as my guest today, as someone who I've grown extremely fond of, and someone who has taken so much care in this relationship that we are in. I'll never forget the day when you sent me the message and you said, can you bring us some food? Because hubby had just been going through his cancer treatment, and you just in your heart and your soul knew that just doing that would already bring some relief and comfort to my hubby and myself. And boy, did it. We had a delicious lunch. Thank you. So to do something like that means that you have a tremendous empathy for people, and you just know what button to press to make that person feel so comfortable in your space. So Nirmala, welcome, and thank you so much for making this contribution. I know of some of the ladies who've already read your story, and the feedback has been nothing short of, wow, I had to take a breath, I had to sit back, I had to like digest, and then I could only go back and read the next page. So Nirmala, tell us about who Nirmala is.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you for having me. I am so excited. And also, I just want to give a shout out to all the wonderful ladies that have joined in, ladies and men. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I just want to say, firstly, thank you for the way in which you put yourself out there for women in business. It just, I marvel at it. And I think just this brainchild of yours as well is indicative of your commitment to transformation, to taking women in business to the next level. So thank you for that. Well, I think from myself, I'm basically a proud mother of an 18-year-old. I am blessed to have a wonderful job. I look after enterprise development at Nedbank, working with a team of wonderful, incredible individuals that really have the foresight and the wisdom and the strategic thinking in terms of enabling all the different wonderful business supports that we actually bring to fruition, we bring to the table from a Nedbank perspective. And that puts me in a really very privileged position for all the difference that we are able to make and bring about within the economy. I think beyond that, yes, you're absolutely right. I very much go by my intuition. It's never let me down, and I think that actually, I'm not sure to what extent it's a positive and a negative, but definitely it certainly allows me, it's a strength, I think, in that I'm able to see a lot more And I think that's held me in good stead. Certainly, the decision to be one of the co-authors on this book has been such a magnificent journey, both from a personal perspective as well as for my growth holistically across my life. And the reason I say that, and I think this will resonate with a lot of women out there, that we each grow up with different scenarios, different backgrounds, different conditioning and different experiences, some of it good, some of it bad, some of it really painful. But we don't always, I mean, we have a lot of role models out there. We have a lot of teachers, a lot of people that we can approach, but not everyone can be everything to, depending on all the different women out there. So what I got out of this whole experience was an incredible journey within. And I'm a great believer in doing your inner work, dealing with emotional stuff, going deep within and really exploring the magnificence that you come to earth with. And I think for me, this exercise, and I really and truly encourage, I think, Charlotte, you're not going to know how to turn all these ladies down that are going to come through with the next. I think you're going to have a series of books that's never going to end, and it's going to be a beautiful collection. The reason I say that is that it's such a beautiful exercise that I went through, and I refer to mine as the journey within. It offered me the chance to, because I think all of us we keep at it. We have to deal life, we have to deal our jobs, we have to deal our children. And with all of the difficulties we experience trying to juggle all these different balls, it's very difficult to stop and make time sufficiently so that you can rejuvenate, you can actually refuel your soul, so to speak. And this was definitely a very, very cathartic exercise in that it enabled me to bring it all together in this one amazing picture. And I thought, wow, I've come a long way. And this culminates into such an amazing piece of my life. So thank you for actually giving me that opportunity, Charlotte. I'm really privileged for it.
Well, Nirmala, it goes without saying, you were one of the first that I thought of when I started to look at, okay, who are these ladies going to be? And who would have the time within such a short space of time? Because, I mean, we literally had 2 months to get this all done. And, I mean, I would say that we accomplished a lot in a very short space of time. And knowing your extremely busy agenda, knowing that you have a daughter who's in matric, and to still make that time just shows you, how deep our friendship actually goes, because you were willing to put a lot of other things aside for that. Now, just tell me, what is it that inspires you, Nirmala?
So I think that's an interesting one. I think there's different things at different stages of our lives. For me, if I have to think back to when I was a teenager, to when as a young adult, to now, it's amazing how when we are still at school and tertiary education, we want to do it all. We want to, tick all the right boxes. We want to make sure that we're upskilling ourselves in the right areas, and, all about how the image we project. And yet when we come to this stage of our lives and you reach a point of self-actualization, you actually realize that every single human being that you encounter, whether it's someone on the street corner, whether it's your parents, whether it's my child or other little babies, we learn so much from them in the way they take on the world, their eyes, the way they view the world, the way they view their experiences. And for me, actually, at this stage of my life, what inspires me is being in the now, taking whatever's meant for me out of every single situation. I feel so blessed. I'm surrounded by so many beautiful souls that enrich my life in such an amazing way. But I think I have to say, if I have to look at some of the I'm very into reading, as those that have read my chapter will say. So that's a very important part of my life. I have to say I have a very strong resonance with Wayne Dyer and the way he brings about the practicalities of our experiences in life and melding and molding that with spirituality. There's so many, there's too many of them. there's leaders, there's so many of them out there. But like I say, I'm going to be typical Gemini in this, and that I take a little out of everyone that comes into my space, including yourself, Charlotte. And I think, we're just so blessed because we're living in such an amazing time right now, for all that the pandemic has literally brought to hold and created havoc in many ways. But it's also given us time to stop and take stock, like you mentioned earlier, to literally say, when I started this journey, these were the following points that were my points of joy. This is what made my heart sing. And then life happened and we just get caught up and we compromise a lot in terms of what it is we initially wanted for ourselves, the standards we set. And I think this period of lockdown, this period is really, when we looked at, it gave us an opportunity to really see how precious life as a whole is in terms of the number of people that have passed on in the last couple of months, whether it's COVID linked or not. It's just been phenomenal. I think beyond that, it's just to say, if I have to assess all that's in my life, to what extent am I experiencing joy, unconditional love, satisfaction in the way that is so integral for me to be growing all the time? So, yeah.
So you have a lot that inspires you. One of the things you've just said is being in the now. And I think that's so important because we're often so caught up in looking ahead and planning ahead that we're not present in the moment. And then we actually miss out on a lot in the moment. And I think, as you also say, is that's possibly what this pandemic and the lockdown has resulted in, is that we're actually in the present now and saying, well, we just need to make the best of every single day that we have. So if you were to go back in time and tell your younger self one thing, what would that be, Nirmala?
Well, I think that would be to stop being so, it's going to be more than one thing, but in a nutshell, it is to stop and relax and have more fun. And with that comes a whole lot of other elements around, not to be self-critical, not to be so hard on myself, not to conform. There's a whole world out there. I would just say to this younger version of myself that just focus on what you enjoy doing. And there's no need to follow the status quo and do stuff just because it's a trend or what everyone else is doing, or even because society requires it of you. And I think I'm very glad to say, in the current day and age, when I look at my daughter, they're very different, this generation, in that they really go with what they want to. And there's something about very liberating about turning 40 years of age. I've spoken to some of my friends and they agree in that you almost reach a point and you stop and you look back at your life and say, what was the stress about and why? Things can wait. It all depends on me and my perspective and the way I view life. Mm-hmm. And yes, if I had to go back in time, I definitely would say to my younger self, there's no need to stress. And the most important thing is that you should be having fun.
Mm. Yes, sometimes we don't allow ourselves enough fun and joy because we're chasing a dream, we're chasing a goal, or we're chasing like that ladder of success, and we're so busy with it that we actually run past the things that are very meaningful and joy and fun and laughter. And I think, recently I had Sue Jamison online in our summit last weekend, and she talks about medicine being, laughter being a medicine, and how much of that medicine do we take? So I guess that is part of that message, is take your daily medicine and laugh and have fun and have lots of good experiences. Now, obviously, we're in almost at the end of Women's Month. It's already the 22nd of the month, and it's been such an exceptional month We've celebrated so many incredible women on this platform, and obviously we pay tribute and honor the many women that have come before us and that have laid down the pathway for us to travel along as women. But based on your personal experience, Nirmala, what is the one pearl of wisdom that you would like to share with others?
I think that would have to be, once again, tying into what I would have said to my younger self. I think to actually listen to that voice within and do what makes you happy. So even if it comes to your career, if it comes to your relationships, if it's decisions that you make around the house in your life, whether it's a holiday that you want to go to, in everything, stop and really feel, really tune into your body and feel, is that going to make me feel good? Does it make me feel good right now? And you'll immediately know, because you have inside of you, your body would give you a reaction where you know that something's not meant for me. And I think we are so caught up with everyday life and trying to meet deadlines and rushing here and fetching and carrying. We don't often listen to that little voice within. And the reality is it comes at great detriment to ourselves, because usually we don't stop and listen and, how does it make me feel? And we rush ahead and only to realize, damn, I shouldn't have done this. I should have taken another way around. So I think in conjunction with that is really around making more time, even if you have to. I know a lot of women out there have really hectic schedules, especially with most of women being out in the work environment, or business women as well. Getting even 15 minutes a day for yourself is a big thing. But I can promise you, based on my experience, talking to some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country, I think 80% of them make time for me in terms of that me time. Most of them actually full on meditate, and they do it very early in the morning. And they say to me that is their time when they just ground themselves and actually try and focus on what are their objectives for the day, and literally decide what it is they want to focus on. And in doing that, they're able to be much more productive. They're able to really be more in a space of, I think when it comes to the productive element and with that unexpected situations coming around, they're very much more able to deal with it, because they've rejuvenated and refueled themselves with that early morning time. And even if it's 10 minutes, I really believe that is crucially important in this current environment, where I think with the age of technology, everything is at the flick of a button. And more and more, we need to understand that, yes, technology is there, but it can be as effective and work to your advantage to the point that you have your act together and you know what you want to achieve. And that is critically important. And I think more so, if I can speak from the business perspective, that it's very easy to get caught up, and especially with the small business environment, to get caught up and just, not know how to extend yourself effectively. So that period of time very early in the morning is critically important to really just fuel your soul. And you can do it with music, or sitting out in the garden, just listening to the birds, whatever that may be for you. Or even if that's your exercise time, that's your routine, you may be into yoga, whatever it is. But that early morning time is critically important. And I've been listening to some of the ladies across the week. I think in their own way, each of them have that sort of practice, but it forms different things for different women and men for that matter. So I think that me time is critically important. And the old adage, Charlotte, that goes, when you say to a person, you should be meditating for at least 20 minutes a day, and they say they don't have 20 minutes, and then you say you are the one that needs 1 hour every day. So it's typically that. So yes, I think more time for me, so that once you know exactly and you have your act together, then you are able to be everything to everyone. And you actually can't do it when you extend yourself to the point where you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, that's so true though, because if they talk about the cup that's empty. If your cup is empty, then you can't share it with anybody else. Now, Nirmala, you attained your doctorate a few years ago. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Doctorate in particular, what in particular, and why did you choose to do that?
Right. So I have to start off by qualifying this, that being a typical Gemini, we tend to be multifaceted and do lots of things at the same time. So it's quite an anomaly in terms of the versatility that I have. But, you know, in my current day job, which I absolutely love, I mean, it's the reason we met and the reason I'm so blessed to meet so many amazing men and women in the business world. It's been a journey, and whilst I've been carrying on in that journey, I wanted to fulfill something deep within. And I think that comes from the reason that I pursued my PhD was, and it actually is in alternative medicine, was actually stemming from my daughter. My daughter, from the time she was a little baby, did not take to conventional medicine. So she would react violently to antibiotics or any medication. I mean, that was it, not even pain or I had to find other ways of doing things. So I had a choice. I could either import at the time from the US or from India, or decide to follow my intuition, do a lot of research, and do my own thing. And that's what I did. So she's now 18 years old. So I have had significant experience in various different aspects of what I've actually practiced. And what followed was many of our friends and other kids that I used to work with, and used to say, what are you doing with your child? Because, I mean, we can count on one hand that she had flu and you relocated from Durban to Johannesburg. So what has worked? And I would say, well, I use this oil, essential oil, which I apply on her feet. And I mean, this child is healthy as a horse when it comes to, flus and things. So little things like that. And as I, got more into reading and learning and just as I mentioned in my book, I love reading. I simply devour books. I started to connect more intrinsically with the whole element of energy healing, the alternative ways of going deep within and dealing some of your ailments, your conditions from a psychological perspective in terms of what would have been the reason for the cause, what trauma or what. I think yesterday the lady mentioned the element about self-esteem and just knowing that you are enough, that you're worthy. Those sorts of things really, and this stems from childhood as well. And you can't blame. It's pointless laying blame. It's about the perception, the way we view the world, the way we view things in our space, and the way we react to those experiences in our lives. And for me, this was very interesting, and I started to work more in that space, started to do various training as well. And yes, eventually it culminated into me pursuing the PhD. What a wonderful experience, because I actually focused on children. Yes, it's been, I've just also got to meet so many amazing souls. And I think in terms of those, even the women and men that I work with from my own perspective, I think just in terms of, and also I must say, in terms of intrinsically understanding what is needed, even in my current day job, a lot of that comes through. And yes, it's just been absolutely fantastic. I think the work that I do in that space has really been a blessing. I definitely see that as a very spiritual drive within me, and therefore it was so easy. In fact, I often ask myself, like, how did that even happen? It was really such a breeze. And I think because I loved it so much, and reading these thick manuals and papers was like so fascinating that I literally breezed through it. So yes, that's how that came about. And I think, I still actually, even for yourself, when Bernie was ill, and just knowing intuitively, okay, so this is what, just suggesting very, with lots of love and real good intent. And I think for me, it's just been such an amazing journey, Charlotte. I think that has helped me with my own personal healing a lot. I was able to apply, and I think that was also one of the key drivers as to why I was so passionate about, I need to do this, because I was so amazed to actually learn that I could go within myself and I could pinpoint a limiting belief or some aspect of self that was actually taken in when I was 5 years old. And I could actually reprogram, I could fix that. And the irony of life is that the more you know and the more you are able to tap in on, the less you actually want. And I was laughing the other day because I was saying, you know, when you reach a point in your life and you are aligned from intrinsically from a vibrational point of view, and you actually, you know, okay, so this is what I want to do for today, and this is the setting this is what I'm setting for myself. Yes, we're still human. We still respond and react in ways in terms of being emotional, and we're still susceptible to the things such as anger and all of that. But you very quickly can zone in and stop and say, hang on a second, do I really need this? Is it going to be productive for me? What is the end result? And when you continue to practice in that manner and really look within, when someone has to trigger a reaction within you, when they say something and it works you up, you immediately stop yourself and say, why? Why I was so happy just now and this set me off, why? And that immediately at that point is actually an opportunity for me to heal something within myself. And really that is the way I live my life. And I've been so blessed for this amazing insight and knowledge, because it's just taken me in terms of, I think all of us, when we think about our lives as a whole, and whether it's money, whether it's a beautiful home, whether it's the best relationship, whether it's we want the best for our children, it all boils down to peace and contentment. At the end of the day, you want to just, when you stop and breathe, you want to say, I'm content. And I think the more I started to delve in this space, the more I realized that I needed so little. I just needed to be at peace and to understand that everything around me is a reaction of what I feel and the way I behave and the way I react to it.
Very wise words. Now tell me, are you actually putting that into some form of practice? If anybody wanted to reach out to you, Nirmala, do you consult with people with regards to this?
Absolutely, I do. I do that on the weekends. I do actually work with quite a few people. Yes, I've recently moved home, so I'm still in my settling down period. I've given myself time off where I was just, settling. And I think I've given literally my daughters in matric this year, so that's my priority. And then I will absolutely, yes, I will definitely be out there and will definitely let people know. Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent, because we do need that. We need to be in touch with our own self and less reliant on any form of medication, as you say, because sometimes it's as simple as that, just being in touch. Now, what would you like people to take away from your story that you wrote? And as I've said earlier on, I know of some or two of the ladies that have given me the feedback and said that your story was in particular the one that stood out to them, and why that is, and what is the message that you want them to take away?
Yes, and quite interestingly enough, I started my chapter with just 2 or 3 excerpts in terms of situations that were turning points in my life. I didn't want to get too much into, because as a matter of fact, I can, but it's done and it's dusted. It is what it is. So for me, I wanted to make it meaningful for the reader. And in fact, that was what my spirit self was saying, talk about how you turn, what does it mean for you, and what was the end result? What was the lesson in it? And that's how I chose to. So I think what the ladies probably resonated with was the fact that I delved into the hardcore of the feelings, and I delved right into me. So it wasn't about, this painting a picture in terms of the emotive element. It was dealing with me. So what did it mean for me? And I went head first into that. And I think it was, yes, a lot of real raw stuff from deep, deep within. And I called it the journey back to myself, which was quite fascinating, because when we are born, we come with this amazing list of gifts, and we are each and every human being has got so much to offer. And as we go along the journey, we actually, there's so much available to us, and it could be whether it's choice of career or the gifts that we have or the people that we choose in our lives, and not all of them are absolutely correct. And I think my story actually resonates with those that really understand that it's okay to have made mistakes, but it's very important to put yourself first and still continue with your journey, and that it's never too late to be happy and content. And I think that was really hit the nerve for a lot of souls, and that I actually went deep within the aspect of so being my best friend, understanding. And I think a lot of us, especially as women, we're so used to giving our all to everyone that when things change, your very foundation is ripped out from underneath your feet. And so what are you left with? And then you literally flat out in a spin, not sure what is going to be your stability factor. And that's where you really need to go deep within and reconnect with yourself, because you are enough. As our beautiful lady yesterday said, you are worthy and you have everything that you need within yourself. The thing is, the more you lose touch with yourself, the more difficult it is to come back. But you have to make the journey within yourself. And I think within my chapter, I delve into the various aspects of letting go. I mean, in that process of growth, and it very much is growth for a person if you go within, it doesn't matter on what level and what the reason is that makes you go within, it's absolutely going to result in growth. And I think for one of the things importantly was letting go. And by letting go, I meant that there's relationships that you're going to lose. There's people that you're going to leave on the wayside. And that's hard, especially for empathetic, sensitive people. And at the end of the day, it's okay to do so. It's okay to put you first. And I think that for me was really, really the tough elements of what I had to do. Also, I think very critically important on that journey was the fact that, and that comes across very, very strongly in my chapter, that in order for me to say that I am a role model to my daughter or to whomever it is in my life that I touch, I've got to actually be authentically true to myself. And that means I do not have to go with what everyone else is, what is fine for everyone else. It means that I also have a role to play. And even though it may be minuscule amongst the millions and millions of souls in our midst, that 1 millionth is equally important. And that is so important. I think we actually don't stop to really define and redefine. And at the end of the day, it's a constant journey. It's never about I'm 20 and this is what I want for my life and that's what I have to stick to. It's actually okay, even a few months later or 20 years later, to say, that's not what I want anymore. But success and happiness and love and joy and all of those things come in different forms, and they represent different things to me now at this point in time in comparison to what I actually thought I wanted when I was 15, when I was 20, when I was 30. Mm. And I think another very important aspect, which, as women, or even as men for that matter, I'm a firm believer in that, whether male or female, it really is very important around the nurturer, the caregiver. That individual contributes to what we, at the end of the day, culminate as an adult into society. So I think for me, the important thing was that if I have to say that my child is going out there as, and to put it simplistically, she's in matric this year. We've had quite a disruptive year, Charlotte, you'll agree, that we've had so much with time out and homeschooling and all of that we've literally had to really take stock. And I said to my daughter, you just do your best and that is enough. And I said to her, if you are confident that you've given off your best, that's absolutely fine. Because even the system, the education system at the end of the day, is someone's perspective of how children should be measured. And for me, that does not give a true reflection of what your potentials are, of what your gifts are, and what you really are here to do in terms of your contribution to mankind. And I think that for me was what I was trying to translate in my chapter, that it's absolutely okay that that journey back to yourself is really what that represents for you. And that's probably what it is. And I actually want to share, if I may, the last remnants of how my chapter ends with. And these were what I said was, how did I put it? I think I said it was, these were the nuggets that I wanted to leave behind. And I said, my life, the beautiful adventure that it is, has yielded the following golden nuggets of wisdom. I learned that whatever I fill the body, mind, and spirit with is what the body, mind, and spirit will give me more of. I learned that all are trying to do their best on this journey of life. To judge, regret, or hold bitterness is a worthless task, most disastrous to me. I learned that another's perspective is 100% correct for him or her. It doesn't have to be right for me. I learned that unconditional love does not come with a price tag. Delightfully, it tends to appear in the most unlikely places at the least expected of times. I learned that not having all the answers is God's way of ensuring that He can bestow delightful surprises and joys when I least expect it.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. I'm sure everyone that is listening in is going to be going on and ordering that book for themselves, because just what you've shared with us today resonates with me, and I'm sure it resonates with so many people. What I'm taking from this is to be authentically true to myself. Authentically true to myself. That is powerful, because I think we forget to be authentically true to ourselves. And that can often be where we need to start. Nirmala, this has been an incredible half an hour with you, almost 3/4 of an hour with you. And I know that we've got some people online with us, and I'm seeing some comments that were coming through from them in the chat box. So I want to, if you are happy that I do that, I'd like to open up the lines to these ladies. They may want to have something to say to you. I know we've got a lady that she's online as PK Ramsamy. What a beautiful soul, inside and out, truly inspiring. And then we have Libashni Reddy. Is she related?
Yes, that's a cousin.
She says, your words speak to my soul, and I see my journey in those exact words. Would you like to, I want to invite the ladies to, if they would like to unmute their microphones. If anybody would like to share something with us, you are most welcome to, and I'm sure Nirmala would welcome it. Anybody want to have an opportunity to share? Having heard everything that Nirmala is sharing with us.
Hi, Charlotte, and hi, Nim. So proud to see you and hear all about this. And I can't wait to get my copy of the book and get as many people as I can to read it, because hearing you talk about a story that I'm so familiar with is just amazing, because you've really set an example to so many women that go through this journey so quietly, without putting up their hands, without saying, you know, I'm lost, I need direction. And they literally just put on a smile and just carry on and be everything to everyone. And I think your words in saying that it is okay, you are allowed to pause and say, actually, I don't have any more to give unless I take this time to fill my cup up again. And I think that for me is the strongest message that I get from the example that you have set, just giving permission to say, I have to find myself again so that I can find those gifts and then find purpose and share it with the world. So that for me is the example that you've set, and I'm so proud of you for sharing it with the world. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Lee. I really appreciate it. And I just have to say, you know, one of the things I advocate first and foremost to everyone, I say, you know, we all want to do our bit for the world, for mankind. But I always say that the best form of service that you can do is heal yourself first. Start with yourself. That's all that we ask to do. And once you can sort your own issues out and deal with that which is troubling you, then you actually start to light up the room when you walk into it. You start to transition, you start to become a role model for others in your space. And that doesn't mean that we all aspire to, to become icons in this world. No, not at all. You can be your best in whatever it is you are doing at this point in time, but start within first.
Very wise words. Something else that I picked up that you mentioned earlier on as well, that you are so grateful for the souls that enrich your life. Do you agree that it's very important to be mindful of who you allow into your life, into your space?
Oh, 100%, Charlotte. That is so critically important. And I think this is where, when I mentioned earlier on that listen to what your inner voice, listen to your intuition, because when someone comes into your life, or when it's the time to walk out of a relationship, or when it's time to leave, even if it's a business connection, you intrinsically know. And that's why it's so important to listen to your body. Absolutely. I think, I just wish as society we did not condition both our girl and boy child that it's the be all and end all, that, when we are in relationships, it's just, that's it. It's the end of, you're born in it, you've got to die in it. It's so wrong. And I'm not advocating that people must leave relationships just, left, right, and center. I'm saying that there are some very damaging relationships. There's some very damaging, toxic situations where, even from a work perspective, where it's just not serving you. It's just not allowing you to thrive in. And that's when you have to put you first, and you have to understand it's time to go. But I think listening to what's coming from within, and knowing, you absolutely, every single person knows when it's been something that is not good for them. And as you grow and evolve, you're going to find invariably that you are going to know that it's time to leave, it's time to move on. And that's not a bad thing. Absolutely not. I mean, just think about it. We have a whole wide world out there. We've got so many opportunities. If you are not going to be able to be everything to everyone. There comes a time when and it always means putting you first. And when you are putting you first, it's not only yourself that's benefiting, you're actually able to fully step into what you're supposed to be doing. And you'll see how your own life starts to grow and progress as well. So that is such an important aspect, Charlotte, that yes, there comes times when not everything is good, and you'll actually know when you outgrow situations. And I think also when, on whatever level, from a business point of view, even personal, you will know intrinsically that, yes, at a point in time, a particular relationship was important and relevant, and it's no longer anymore. And you do need to have that element of self-love, to have the courage to deal it and say, it's time to move on.
As hard as what it might be, as you say, it's sometimes best for all. Well,
Absolutely.
this has certainly been a wonderful, wonderful time with you, Nirmala, and I'm sure that your golden nuggets that you've been sharing is going to be life-changing for a lot of people. The book, obviously, we all know the book is available online. It's on Amazon Kindle at the moment. But Nirmala, I'm very excited to tell you that we've already started looking at the printed copy. I know that you were one of those that had said many are asking for the printed copy, and we actually are going to do that. We're actually going to be taking pre-orders, and that will be on the website. We're just busy building the page where you can actually place your pre-orders. And I think, Nirmala, if anything, and I'm so glad that you've encouraged me not to let this be the only copy or edition of this, that it becomes a series, because I was, as you say, there are so many women that want to tell their stories, and we must give them the platform and the place where they can do that, and they can feel safe, and they can feel that they are amongst friends when they are sharing their story. So that's exactly where we're going with this book, Nirmala, and I know that you're going to be alongside me cheering us all on, and you're going to be part of this whole team taking this forward. So thank you so much. So what would your parting words be before we finish our interview, which we have a few minutes left? What would your parting words be that you want to leave in the minds of everybody?
So I think before I leave my last words, I just want to say to everybody, please do support the course. Do get your copy of the book. Remember, all the proceeds are going towards supporting women in business, women that are unable, that have been affected negatively or detrimentally and are unable to tap in on relief funding. So this is for an absolutely worthy cause, and the book is at an excellent price. So I do encourage you to go out and get your copy. My parting words, I think, you know, when you're going through difficulties in life, or even when you're going through transition stages, which doesn't mean you have to be at a bad space in your life. It could just mean that you know you're restless and it's time for change. There are many reasons why, and you know, the procrastination can be a huge element in us not moving forward, as can be the fact that we are very aware of our flaws and our weaknesses and the reasons why we can't do it, or I don't have this, and this is why I can't do it, why I'm unable to. And I just want to say that all of us human beings, all come with gifts, as do we have shadow elements, as do we have weaknesses. And I want to say today that stop, really value who you are for this amazing being, and accept yourself completely, flaws, weaknesses, everything, and love yourself unconditionally. For when you do, you really and truly will unearth your true gifts and the magnificence. And then you'll start to see that aspect of what we term to be good luck, or you know, some people have it and some people don't. No, not at all. It simply is a question of owning who you are, accepting yourself completely with unconditional love, without judgment. And then you start to see these opportunities materializing and appearing, and you wonder how on earth. And it's simply because you are accepting of who you are. You then step into exactly what you're supposed to do, and everything becomes an absolute joy to live.
Oh, well, thank you so much for those beautiful parting words. And I'm sure that we are all taking a lot from it, and we want to thank you. And I think there was one person that has just written us a message here. It's Shavana. Shavana, is it Pathak? You are you saying that you are such a beautiful soul. You are still not bitter. Still have that smile and see every day the sun will shine every day, no matter what. Amazing how you rose beyond this experience. Instead of sitting around sleeping in with the excruciating experience, of course there will be days you found the motivation to the bright side of growth and development in leaps and bounds, achievements. You have a strong willpower, and your inspiration comes from a special place. That's so lovely. So ladies, this has just been an incredible opportunity to get to know Nirmala that much more. And I want to just say thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for being part of this interview with Nirmala. And all that's left to say, ladies, is enjoy the rest of your weekend. Think deeply into what the words of encouragement were from Nirmala, and make sure that you are authentically true to yourself. And with that, we say bye-bye. And thank you.
Bye, Charlotte.
Thank you so much for being part of this. God bless, Nirmala. We'll be chatting shortly. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.